goodness. Wow. Welcome to the Crisis Report. I guess this all timed out for when I usually go, but we are going to be reporting on the utter collapse of Syria and all that goes along with it, from analysis to where are we now, and if I can just give a general overview, things are not going to get better. Was Assad a POS and all that? First of all, they don't know where he is, okay? And the reason why I put this up and I am here now instead of 15 minutes ago is that there's so many things happening so quickly that I wanted to just kind of make sure that I knew what's going on. A plane supposedly that has Assad on it has crashed around the area of Homs, but we don't know if he's on there or not. The rebels have, in 10 days, literally, gone from not even being known by nobody knew who the heck HTS was, and now they're running Syria. So this has been quite I don't even have the words to put it, and it's very tough to explain, but Syria is basically a microcosm of the silent world war that is going on all around you. Okay? There are interests for Turkey, America, Russia, Iran, Israel, and numerous other countries in the region. And where we go from here, we really don't know. We don't know exactly what this is going to look like. There are implications because there are numerous Christians there. What are things going to look like for them? There's been accusations that these groups are literally just renamed ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and this is going to become another big mess like they have given us into the world. Nobody knows. So what I'm going to do here is I started doing this, yesterday morning and doing what I usually do, and things are going interesting. But I can assure you, if you are not a member of this channel, and I get it, $2 is a lot. My people knew at 10:45 a.m. that the Syrian Arab Republic fell at 4:46 a.m. on December 8th, 2024, was in the process thereof. On my community page, it was pretty darn evident where things were going, and I called it literally before anybody out there. Now, it's not because I can read the future. It's not because I've got, a fortune-telling degree or anything like that. It's because I have a background in geopolitics. I have 3 degrees. I do this for a living. I'm a history teacher. And I know enough about what's going on in this region because my area of focus when I was doing it was the Pakistan, Indian area, Kashmir, and the line of control and all that kind of stuff. The Middle East is incredibly complex, but at the same time, what goes on there really does and can dictate what goes on in the larger world with our conflicts. There's a lot of implications here. There's the implication of Russia and Tartus and Latakia in that area. There's implications for Iran. There's implications for Turkey, who basically in their mind thinks that Aleppo and a lot of the northwestern portion of Syria should be Turkish or Turkey. America and our bases there and all of our staging stuff. I mean, it is literally what you have seen tonight is absolutely crazy. Thank you so much, Gene W, for being a member here. So I go out and basically I'm going to let you in on my secret. What do? I have about, at this point, 50 different channels that I go to. Some are more Eastern, some are Western, some are all about the Ukrainian-Russian fight, some are all about what's going on with Taiwan and China, some are based on the conflict in the Middle East. Some are Latin and are fully in Spanish and talk about what's going on in South America. I've got one called Africa Intel, everything about Africa going on. I go to these places, I parse through all of the information, and I take out the nuggets that are telling the larger story. And I put it into this thing that you are looking at right now called the Crisis Report. 6 to 7 days a week, this thing is put together with literally hours of my time. And I would do it anyway. So I love doing it. But at the same time, things are intensifying. And so to my members, like Gene and Utica Prepper and Bad Bobber and Daryl, well, Daryl's not a member, but Daryl's always here. We love Daryl. Anyway, I love all y'all. But like the people that are supporting this, I really appreciate what you're doing because you mean it. So like tonight I'm hanging out with my wife. I'm like, hey, Syria just fell. I got to go kind of strap on the headphones and go roll out. Wife's all about it. So I apologize for not being here during the day. I wanted to go, but today is my daughter's 13th birthday. So had a little bit of a busy on all that. Had 2 cars and 2 different shops and all that. And then my daughter's 13th birthday, so we had that. And then we got done. And then we went out with Grandma for dinner. And then we got home. And then my wife and I did our walk and all that. And at that point, I came in, saw where things are going. And sure enough, reports of Assad being ousted and Syria falling to these rebels that came out of nowhere that nobody knew who they were 10 days ago. So I'm going to go through all of this, and at the end, I'm going to give you the latest of the latest. We still don't know. If someone figures out that, they know what's going on with this plane that Assad was on as I'm doing this, because I obviously can't be in 2 different places at once, put it in there, okay? And I will highlight it, I will pin it, I will do whatever, and we'll tell people about it. But this is history. This is something that is taking a lot of people by surprise. Nobody expected this, and it's going to change things. And as I said before, it's not going to change it for the better. So anybody thinking that this is going to make things better. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm not going to say that. But as it stands on the world stage, where is this going to take everything? It just adds to the chaos. So, here we go. This is your crisis report for December 7th, 2024. It starts yesterday morning, so this is about the last 18 hours and the complete and total progression of Syria going from a state that's been together since 1962, something like that, 68. Whatever. I have it all in the notes. I can't remember exactly. But this is, I think, 58 years of Ba'athist rule has now come to an end. So here we go. Syrian Arab Republic reportedly fell at 4:46 a.m. December 8th, 2024. And yes, my people knew that it was going down today at about, 12 hours ago. Jordan and Lebanon closed their borders with Syria crossings. Syrian army announced general withdrawal from Homs. This is all yesterday, okay? So I just want to go through it for documentation and conjecture, or not conjecture, but just for, posterity. Militants fighting in Syria supported by foreign countries. Defense Mini, Russian embassy in Syria has called on Russians to leave. With such a collapse, Assad's days are numbered. This is all yesterday, and this is when, there was Polymarket was saying he was going to be together in there until March, and that's when they were thinking was the most likely when he would leave or be taken out. That was like yesterday and today. So they still thought he had months. Not anymore. So, question is now, how would he like to go on a helicopter or like Gaddafi? We don't know how he's gone. There's a lot of people think he went down in a plane about 20 minutes ago. Who do you think Syria's next president is better start planning? Is it going to be this Jelani guy from HTS? One thing is the Assad regime falls, ISIS will resurge. This is it. This is the key. And it will resurge stronger than it did last time. Trump's going to have a very difficult takeover. How is he going to fight ISIS without putting U.S. boots on the ground? This is going to become an issue. Trump's got to deal with Russia on one hand, which is not going to be easy in the resurgence of ISIS. and it's not going to be smoothly. This is Aquila. He knows his stuff, and he's calling it out and giving us the background of things and why this is not a good deal. U.S. had the best strategy before the rebels began the offensive. This still has all changed. The Assad regime falls. The one ruling Syria will definitely be Turkish-loving individuals, and we know how much Turkey loves to breed the ISIS group to use them as their own cannon fodder. Iraq is not going to be safe from this onslaught. This just rains chaos all throughout the Middle East. 2025 is being set up just perfect, remembering the days of the caliphate rise. During 2014, it was so bad every week news channels were broadcasting beheadings. That is correct, I remember. Major health insurance companies have taken down the leadership pages following the murder of the United Healthcare CEO. They don't know what's going on with that. They found the guy's backpack and such. And by the way, can I get you guys to hit that like button? I got 124 here and 37. It does help. We're getting the business from the old tube. Okay, I apologize for not being a bunch of corporate bastards that tell you crap that means nothing and wants to follow P. Diddy. I apologize for telling you that ISIS is going to rise and probably start jacking people up like, I don't know, Christians in the Middle East. Excuse me for telling you all about that. I should go back and tell you all the crazy BS about Hollywood and all the shit that they're in. Syrian army strikes terrorist fighters in Hama province. UN says Syria fighting has displaced 280,000 since November 27th. That's going to grow exponentially. Europe, how you doing? How are your borders? Red weather warning issued for parts of Wales and southwest England ahead of Storm Dara hitting the UK. Russia captures villages in two key areas of the East Ukraine. That's all going in the background too. South Korean democracy at a most critical moment, opposition leader tells the AFP. Romanian court has annulled the presidential election results ahead of a runoff vote amid chaos and interference. Electoral process to resume entirely. They're going to redo it because they didn't get the outcome that they wanted. And they're saying that Russia. We'll see what goes on with that. That ought to mean they're going to go into some kind of a breakdown. Don't forget Georgia. It's breaking down. Russia could deploy hypersonic missiles in Belarus next. He and Putin and Lukashenko were meeting yesterday. Syrian government troops are withdrawing from areas held in the eastern Deir ez-Zor. I'm sure they're way the F out now. Trump stands by Pete Hegseth. He says his support is strong and deep, much more than the fake news would have you believe. Biden will leave office as the worst president in modern history, according to voters in a devastating poll by the Daily Mail. Full Russian embassy statement on Syria. Given the complicated military political situation in Syria, the Russian embassy in Damascus reminds Russian citizens residing in the SAR, or the Syrian Arab Republic, the possibility of leaving the country. I've seen videos of what Damascus airport looks like, and let me tell you, absolute nuts. If you're in a country that is collapsing, GTFO. There's a saying in the prepper community and in financials, he who panics first panics best. Embassy and consular section continue to operate. I'm sure they're going to be out. Yesterday, Belarus Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a similar appeal. Major exclusive news, regional sources speaking to Clash Report. Clash Report is where I get a lot of stuff. It is Turkish in base. The guy is pro-Turkey, pro-NATO, anti-Russia, but also anti-Israel. He's got a very interesting perspective. But it's straightforward, good, and he just tells you what you need to tell. He doesn't get all crazy on it. He said if Russia and Turkey reach an agreement, Assad, his family, and some Ba'ath officials may leave the country. Russia is expected to propose names to Turkey which will convey the opposition's demands from a transition. There are people like Middle Eastern Spectator, who's very knowledgeable, Eastern in focus, but very knowledgeable, thinks that Assad was already out and that all this is just kind of for show, and who knows. This whole thing is there's just a lot. We don't know what's going on yet, really, to be honest with you. I'm going to document all the way up, but we have no clue who's in control. Last thing I have is the prime minister saying, I'm going to stay in my residence and hand over the country to the new leaders. That's literally it. So they claim there's a Doha meeting that Russia, Turkey, Iran, America, other people all represented. Russia is expected to propose names to Turkey, which will convey the opposition's demands. Syria is now basically Turkey Part 2, or Eastern version of it. And as Akila said, because ISIS does a lot of things for Turkey, you're going to start to see that rise again. Rumors circulating the university had suspended all teaching and assessments in Damascus. Yes. Unknown explosion near the radio and television building in Damascus minutes ago. Ukraine has unveiled the new Peklo Hell missile drone. This is a new one and ought to make things get nice and super conflict-y between Russia and Ukraine. It's a fixed-wing internal jet engine, air-launched, 5 combat uses, boasts a range of 700 kilometers, speeds of up to 700 kilometers an hour, filling the role of the lightweight, mass-produced alternative to scarce Western Storm, Shadow, and Scalp, e.g. cruise missiles. Gene W., thank you so much. So basically now they've got hypersonics. So I'm sure that Russia's going to just absolutely love that. Nothing says turn my city into a glass friggin' parking lot like we've got hypersonics that go 700 kilometers an hour heading towards Moscow. Assad regime retreats to Sheikh Mishkin in Daraa, concentrating all forces in the north. That's obviously blown out of the water. According to a person close to the Kremlin, Russia has no plan to save Assad, doesn't see anyone emerging as long as the Syrian president's army continues to abandon his positions. Seems Assad's forces have withdrawn from Suwaida, Daraa, Deir ez-Zor, Palmyra, and Homs are basically gone now. It's not even a force. Russia has informed Damascus any intervention will be limited. Obviously, that's blown out of the water. Results of Romania's presidential elections, first round, have been annulled by the Constitutional Court of Romania, because that's the way it works. New date will be set, and I'm sure they'll vote right that time. Pro-Assad regime Sama TV reports the foiling of an armed coup inside the General Staff headquarters. Turkish President Erdogan says he hopes Syrian rebels march to Homs and then Damascus and will continue without any accidents or troubles. We had called Assad. We said, let's determine the future of Syria together. We did not receive a positive response. Pro-Assad SAMA TV says a treason attempt. Armed coup was tried. It was thwarted. Officers connected to foreign countries. That's obviously neither here nor there. Massive mobilization of the Republican Guard brigades in the capital of Damascus. Got your butts kicked. You're done. After fleeing Aleppo and seeing the utter chaos in Syria the past 7 days, Syrian magnate and influential pro-Assad market-minded reformist figure Faris Shahabi calls for a peace-minded new brighter Syria where no one feels defeated or deprived, and calls on everyone to forget the bloody past and move forward. That guy's obviously trying to set himself up for the next regime. IDF is significantly reinforcing its presence in the Golan Heights due to concerns over the potential collapse of the Syrian government. 210th Division has been deployed to the Syrian border amidst fears that the situation could spiral out of control, reach the border area. IDF is preparing for potential deployments to the Golan with a message of armed opposition. Do not approach the border with Israel. I would pay heed to that warning. Incoming reports say that the Syrian Arab Army, or SAA, has withdrawn from Shukna, east of Palmyra. A dangerous move, as it could open a power vacuum that the Islamic State, which is already present there, could fill. So you're hearing it here first, folks. When your friends go, why does this matter? This is ISIS Part 2. This is ISIS on steroids. Beheadings, killing Christians, ruining religious sites and destroying all of the history of the area. Yeah, that group. Them on steroids. New Syrian army, Maghwar al-Tawar, is very small in size, 500 fighters at most. Palmyra has the biggest weapon stockpile. There's reports that the Russians have been going around and basically blowing up anything that has a weapon in it because they're worried that these extremists are going to get it and go gangbusters. Islamic State, which has 11,000 fighters, a current prediction tries to overrun it. Well, things won't go well You can mark my words, they've been trying to tap into that. Israeli Air Force attacked chemical weapons stores in Syria for fear that the rebels would reach them. You getting a theme here, folks? It really could be bad if, say, Bashar al-Assad is not exactly not known for his use of the chemicals, if the ISIS folks get a hold of that stuff. Yeah. Jordan calls its citizens to leave Syria. Jihadists say they have captured the last village in the outskirts of Homs. Last call to the regime forces, get out. Obviously, no, they're here nor there. Free Syrian Army's Southern Operations Room declares that it controls the city of Dahra, dozens of cities, towns, military barracks. They control everything now. Pro-rebel media reports that Southern Free Syrian Army has seized positions in Quneitra, that is next to the Golan Heights. Rumors on social media that Farsan al-Jabal, the Knights of the Mountain Christian militia, have seized a weapons cache and looted police stations in Damascus to protect themselves because they're worried they're going to get their friggin' heads cut off by the new members of the Syrian government, whatever the heck you want to call that. Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has addressed the Republic of Korea, and leftist-dominated National Assembly prepares to vote. He addressed, it obviously went fairly well because they have not been able to impeach him yet. We'll get more to that. That's just another little corner of the world. You know, everything's just so freaking great right now in the world. You got one of our biggest allies in Korea. The guy just tried to impose martial law. It's been reported that President Yoon Suk-yeol will personally express his position on the martial law situation. He did. He bowed. He whined. He cried. He said, "Please forgive me." 3 Iranian officials have told the New York Times the evacuation of senior military leaders and personnel from Syria in anticipation of the imminent collapse of Syrian government has begun. Now, that's the kind of post, folks, when you say, well, how does PrepperNow know this crap before most people? And I hate to toot my own horn, but if I haven't proven to you now that I know my ish, and I'm going to tell you literally 12 to 18 to 24 hours before everyone, it's this kind of stuff right there. Iranian officials have told the New York Times, it's official America, now it's ready for press release, evacuation of senior military leaders and personnel from Syria in anticipation of an imminent collapse. Ding, 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 ding. PrepperNow, yeah, it seems that this place is not going to be around for another 12 to 24, maybe 72 hours tops. You might want to tell the folks. 3 Iranian officials told the New York Times, that, top commanders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force left Syria for a safe haven in both Lebanon and Iraq. Should have been right there. Everybody knows. 3 Iranian officials told the New York Times, in addition, Iranian military personnel, diplomatic staff, their families, as well as Iranian civilians, began to be evacuated on Friday with their departure. That tells me right there that we are close. Evacuations took place via commercial flights between Damascus and Tehran, while others landed routes in Lebanon from Iraq and Syrian port of Latakia. Latakia and Tartus are going to be negotiated by the Russians to be kept because you want to see them get frisky, try to take away their Mediterranean warm port for their subs and frigates. You're going to see Russia get real pissed off real quick. First public appearance since December 3rd, incident. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol asked the people for forgiveness, causing anxiety, problems in the Republic of Korea, declaration of martial law. He vowed not to do it again in peacetime during his presidency. Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson has been taken into federal custody on charges of public corruption. The arrest was confirmed by the U.S. Attorney's Office of Massachusetts and FBI. Great job, girl. Thanks for taking our money and pissing it away. New York City Mayor Eric Adams hints at rejoining the Republican Party. He was a Republican from 95 to 2002. So, we'll see what happens with that. National Police Association endorses Kash Patel for FBI director. Yeah, like the National Police, because they're sick of the crap that's been going on with the FIB. Adam Schiff has been submitted his resignation for the U.S. House, and he's going to become a senator for California. Congratulations, Senator Pencilneck. Manslaughter charges against Daniel Penny have been dismissed. Why? Because the guy's a freaking hero. That was posted earlier onto the PrepperNow Subscribe Star and PrepperNow Locals. Those are $3 a month. I get all kinds of crazy stuff I put on there. Put an interesting video about the WEF. You might know who they are. Kraus! On what they're trying to do. I like to post there because I don't get in trouble. Arizona has confirmed its first human case of H5 bird flu connected to poultry exposure. You might want to check out PrepperNow. I've got a video on how food prices are about to explode again. Sorry it's not hyperbolic and me lying to your face saying that there's going to be soldiers in the streets, because it's not true. And I'm going to tell you actually what's going to go on over there. I know I'm not as awesome as the other, people that get pumped in your face 24/7 because they tell you that everything is going to, you're going to be taken into custody and put into camps. But we actually deal with reality here on my channels. Backpack found in Central Park may belong to United Healthcare CEO shooting suspect. UK government has unveiled plans to provide cash incentives to families of elderly citizens who choose euthanasia. So if your grandparents in the United Kingdom say, you know what, I'm just done with this crap, you guys can take me out, they're going to give you a cash incentive. Just think about that for 1 second. I can assure you, if anybody ever offers that to me or my family or my parents, you're going to get fucking throat punched. What a disgusting thing. God. Whew. Sorry, how anybody can think that that is a part of any kind of a put together and well-run society, I don't even know. It's absolutely disgusting. Sorry, it really pisses me off. Okay, I'm back. U.S. Department of Agriculture issues order mandating bird flu testing for the national milk supply. You might want to go get your milk on, folks. Erdogan says that Western civilization will collapse soon. I think we're already there, bud. Iraqi government, contrary to claims and media propaganda, asked its armed forces not to intervene in the Syrian war. And a large number of Syrian Arab army soldiers and officers have surrendered. That's been going on for the last 24. Israel is planning to take a buffer zone to protect itself from the Al-Qaeda rebels. Yes, those are the people running around now, running an entire fucking country. Sorry, I've really gone like the last month without cussing. I'm trying not to cuss. But I can't. Every time I think the world is kind of reached the peak crazy idiocy, we're all really going into a troubling time, this thing just takes it up a notch. Syria falling is taking it up a notch. That's the only way I can put it. Whew. International Atomic Energy Agency reports that Iran has greatly increased the rate of uranium enrichment to be operating additional advanced centrifuges, mainly at the underground nuclear facility in Purdue. Iran now produces in Purdue alone a monthly amount of about 34 kilograms of uranium enriched at the level of 60%. I'm not quite sure if I remember correctly, but I think that is the ability to make nuclear weapons. And I don't think it's Purdue. I think that's a typo mess up. I think it's Fordal. Senior source in the Kremlin: we have no intention of saving the Bashir regime. The drama in Syria, direct and free land access between Tehran and Beirut has been lost. So here's where the major part is, and this is the analysis and logistics of the situation. As we know here, and you've been following me for any time, dumbasses talk about strategy, and people with an intelligence about this crap understand and talk about logistics. This is logistics. Syrian regime forces pro-Iranian militias abandon their positions in the eastern part of the country with an emphasis on the Deir ez-Zor area, al-Bukamal, near the border with Iraq. The forces went out to reinforce the army units in Homs and Damascus in view of the advance of the opposition forces. According to the reports, the Syrian army left its positions in the east after an agreement with the Democratic Syrian Forces, or SDF, militia of mostly Kurdish fighters supported by the U.S. According to the reports, Russia was also involved in the transfer of territory from Assad army to Kurdish forces. Kurdish militia was supported by the U.S. will not allow the transfer of weapons to Hezbollah through eastern Syria for Iran. This is a severe strategic blow that undermines one of the most important elements in the Iranian axis. They do not have the ability to shuttle in weapons from Syria anymore. So Iran is screwed in that way. So yay, and to maybe dropping the Iranians down a notch, but the problem is that now all these people, this entire country, is going to become a literal hotbed of Al-Qaeda and ISIS growth. So, I mean, there's people that say that it's going to be broken up into 3 different territories. Western portion on the coast is going to be Russian-controlled, called Latakia and Tartus, whatever that name comes out to be. Central part will be your growth center for ISIS, and on the eastern portions with Iran, it's a Druze-controlled, it's a community, they're all over, that's D-R-U-Z-E. Not really a problematic people, but they're called the Druze. They're going to control over there, but who knows? Who knows? So Iran's logistics has been cut off, and now from here, who knows? So it just the chaos is not helping. This is not good. And I don't want to come off like I'm a fan of Bashar al-Assad. I'm not. This guy had it coming for a long time. But where we go from here, we don't know. Israeli Air Force attacked short time ago Lebanon north of Litani River because they have a ceasefire, but it's not really a ceasefire. Wall Street Journal, Egyptian and Jordanian officials urged Bashar al-Assad to leave Syria and form a government in exile. That's far gone. Basically, all the Iranian reps and pro-Iranian militias are fleeing Syria. We all know that now. Polymarket, this aged well. People are now betting on Assad out as president of Syria by March 31st, 2025. 63% of chance that. Hopefully you didn't put your money down. Southern Syria, Daraa, where the civil war originally broke out in 2011. That's fallen. Gone. Syrian rebels took control of the city in the north of the country. Assad army officials safe passage. Gone. Egyptian and Jordanian officials have urged Syrian President Bashar al-Assad to leave the country, establish a government in exile, his wife and children, having left Damascus for Moscow last week. Brother-in-law fled for the United Arab Emirates. Assad has urged Turkey to intervene and halt the rebel offensive. They're not going to do that because it is their rebel offensive. While questioning intelligence support and weapons from several countries, including the UAE, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, all of which have been refused. Basically, it feels like to me, this is complete conjecture, I don't know if this is true. It feels like to me there was a bit of a orchestration of this outside of Assad. Russians, Iranians, Americans, or at least the Russians in the West. Because the Russians are being a little too smooth about this. And they basically said, look, this is what's going on. You guys need to get out of here and everything. And they didn't really let Assad in on the party. So I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know where things go. So this is chaos. That's the problem. Chaos is never good, folks. I tell my students all the time, don't thrive on chaos. Like, get your ish together. Don't thrive on chaos. Don't be a chaotic human being. This is chaos. Iran State TV now calls Assad group's armed opposition instead of Takfiri terrorists, emphasizing they haven't attacked Shias in Aleppo to reassure Iran's Shia population. Again, this is another sign that things are going downhill fast when people in state media start to call the people that were, going in and doing all this and go from giving them the nasty names to like something a little bit more sympathetic. Joe Biden changed his mind about pardoning his son Hunter because circumstances have changed. Whatever. Bashar al-Assad fall seems too likely that the IRGC forces, diplomats, and their families in Damascus have gone to Rakaya shrine to say goodbye, crying uncontrollably. I'm sure that'll get taken out by ISIS soon. Trump on Syria, opposition fighters in Syria in an unprecedented move, totally taking over the numerous cities highly coordinated offensive, all now on the outskirts of Damascus, obviously preparing to make a big move toward taking out Assad. That's obviously happened. He says Russia, because they are so tied up in Ukraine and with the loss of their over 600,000 soldiers, some incapable of stopping this literal march through Syria, a country they have protected for years. This is where former President Obama refused to honor his commitment of protecting the red line in the sand. I remember that from 2012. And all hell broke out with Russia stepping in, but now they are, like possibly Assad himself, being forced out and may actually be the best thing that can happen to them. There was never much of a benefit in Syria for Russia other than to make Obama look really stupid. In any event, Syria is a mess, but is not our friend. The United States should not have anything to do with it. This is, or the United States should have nothing to do with it. This is not our fight. Let it play out. Do not get involved. I agree. But it's an interesting thing he said there with Obama. He said a country that they have protected for years. This is where former President Obama refused to honor his commitment in protecting the red line of sand. Basically, at that point, if you guys remember, it was the chemical weapons thing. You know, Obama said, if you cross this line, we're going to drop the hammer. Well, they kept crossing the lines. They never dropped the hammer. And here we are 12 whatever years later. Rebels won't enter Damascus. I have a feeling after this negotiations between Turkey, Russia, and others, that obviously didn't age well. There are widespread reports that jihadist forces under Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, that's HTS, backed by Turkey, have entered key districts in Homs. Other convoys already reached the outskirts of Damascus. Very little fighting. That's the thing. Like, they didn't... The fighting was just so... They didn't do it. There really wasn't any battles. That's why certain people in the Eastern Telegram sources were like, we don't even know if this is happening. Because they're just running. Like, they show up, the rebels would enter, and then the people that were in the Syrian Arab army would just roll out. They wouldn't even fight. So, I don't know if they just knew the jig was up or whatever, but this wasn't, I mean, 10 days to go through a country the size of Syria, that's about as unprecedented as it gets. Zero Hedge's contacts in Damascus strongly suggest the transition to power deal has already been made. I agree with that. I really do think that now. External discussions are centered in Doha. Some premature, unverified reports have claimed President Bashar al-Assad has already flown out of the country. We don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Again, if you... I am speed reading. If you guys know about the plane or Assad's fate, put it into the chat. I haven't even been able to look down. It's the first time I looked down was at a winning streak comment. I'm moving so quickly. Syrian President Assad will address the nation. Obviously didn't do that. Russian naval assets officially withdrawn from Tartus. That was going on for the last 72 hours. Entire Syrian Arab army has collapsed within 10 days. Crazy. Assad fled to Syria because of a very close source in Syria. I do think he got out. I don't know if he's on that plane or not, but summit on Syria is being held in Doha tonight with the participation of Turkey, Iran, Russia, Qatar, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iraq, Al Jazeera. That shows you all the people that have a vested interest in this thing not going sideways. Trust me, none of those countries want ISIS coming back. People of South Korea are protesting in favor of the impeachment process of President Yoon Suk-yeol. Vote on impeachment is stalled for now. Members of the ruling party boycotting the vote. At least 8 MPs from Yoon's party need to vote for his impeachment for the process to begin, so that's how they're stalling it. Ukrainian President Zelensky has arrived in Paris for the reopening ceremony of the Notre Dame Cathedral. Leaders all around the world will also participate, including Donald Trump. People were commenting on Zelensky's wear. Everybody was all dressed up in nice clothes, and he came in like a freaking tracksuit or something. Assad regime forces all around Syria are leaving their positions. Lavrov, together with Turkey and Iran, we will take steps to ensure that the call for de-escalation in Syria is heard. Russia helps Syrian army. Russia's role to fight terrorist groups in Syria, even if they are no longer terrorists. We want to ensure that the Syrian state remains united, coordinating with the Iranians and Turks. Obviously, that's all blown out of the water. Syrian opposition fighters reached Darya, just 5 kilometers from Damascus, Assad's palace, 6.5. Assad's regime loses control of Darya, Sanya, Janamana, and rural Damascus. Turkish officials, the Clash report. Astana meeting in Doha today, meeting focused on the situation on the ground, importance of restarting political process, the need to accordance with UN Security Council Resolution 2254 stressed, support for Syria's territorial integrity and political unity was reaffirmed. Agreement was reached to continue Astana format talks. Fun fact, PrepperNow led his university at the Model UN many years ago. And I got to see the whole thing like firsthand in New York. I have to tell you, you want to talk about a waste of money and everything. It was absurd. I went in there with my thing, and I was older, leading a bunch of students that were in their 20s and stuff. I went in there and did it, but it was just so funny to watch the whole process in real time and how they do everything. And I'll never forget it because what kept going on in my mind is like, what a waste of space, time, everything. Like, this is just, I don't know. It didn't seem worthy of the amount of clout and money that it gets every year to me. So, airplane ticket prices, Damascus surge, demand for flights rises amid reports on an imminent battle to liberate the city. Clash report exclusive, meeting with Syria be held between Turkey, Iran, Russia, Iraq, Egypt, all those people. It's already happened. Syrian opposition forces have reportedly reached Sednaya prison, and the fight for liberation has begun. By the way, Sednaya prison is also known as the human slaughterhouse, to give you an idea of just how fantastic it is in this region of the world. We look forward to that being exported out to everyone else. Yes, you got to love a nice prison. I got to visit the S-21 in Cambodia. That was great. My personal favorite was the replicated pile of skulls they had in one of the rooms. Wonderful. The bloodied beds where they tortured people. It's just excellent experience. Local people in Douma, northern Damascus, reported the withdrawal of Assad regime forces and positions. And now we're starting to get towards the meat of the night when everything craps the bed. And here we go. Almost 61 years of Ba'athist rule, 54 years of Assad family dynasty are about to end. Organized coup against Assad, only thing that can delay the opposition's advance in Damascus, senior U.S. official. Where is Assad? Despite official denials, source told CNN that Bashar al-Assad is absent from key locations. Presidential Guard is no longer stationed at his residence, sparking speculations that he may have fled. U.S. officials believe that Turkey gave the HTS a green light to launch its operation in Syria, according to CNN. Putin hasn't said a single word about Syria or Assad since the beginning of the Syrian opposition march on Damascus. And again, another tell that this was all kind of pre-laid out. Markets in Damascus witnessed a rush on food supplies. Hey, preppers! Most of them disappeared from the markets, and a state of panic spread as the Assad regime soldiers deserted their positions. Little fun fact, if you're going to live in a society, you might want to have at least a couple few weeks of food stacked up somewhere in case all HE hockey sticks breaks loose from, say, a weather event or your entire country crumbling before you in 10 days. Approximate situation on the Syrian capital of Damascus. By Clash reports, Syrian opposition forces captured the southern outskirts of Damascus and are closing in on the city center. Bloomberg citing information from sources, ready for an agreement that allows him to hold on to the remaining areas. That's out of the water. Assad dispatched a senior Christian leader to meet with Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban to relay that he sees an existential threat to Syria's Christian minority. Oh! Intention was that Orban, a Trump ally, would convey this danger to the incoming U.S. president. Yes, if you are Christian in Syria, you might want to get the F out now, if you hadn't already. Bloomberg also claims that Bashar al-Assad is probably in the Iranian capital of Tehran, maybe. Oh, by the way, Georgia is collapsing. Situation heating up. Police blocked the path for demonstrators to Tbilisi. There has been no information yet about the dispersal of the protesters, but the police deployed water cannons to Freedom Square. It is reported that aggressive provocateurs have appeared in the crowd. Third video showed an attack by demonstrators on the film crew. Earlier, it was reported that the crowd was marching to the Parliament of Georgia. Fun fact, as a waiter in New York City many moons ago, I got to be the personal waiter for the attaché of Mr. Saakashvili, president, during the 2008 Georgian-Russian war. Very interesting. I got vetted by the Secret Service. Russia is closing the airspace over the Kapustin Yar training ground, December 10th to the 13th. Major explosion in The Hague in Netherlands has caused a 3-story apartment block to collapse. Okay. Killing at least 3 people. Police say a car was speeding away from the scene. I haven't heard anything since. So if you guys have any of this, I mean, who knows? Hague is where the International Criminal Court is. Aquila said wars are going to accelerate from this point onwards. It's not going to subside in any way. This is huge. Talking about the general state of the world now. Basically, World War III just got a big, nice shot of adrenaline. Russian special forces, Wagner remnants, helped evacuate Assad from Syria, according to close sources. We don't know. All this is conjecture. Guy could be on the ground in a desert alleyway or a desert field in freaking Homs, or he could be in Russia. Who knows? Bloomberg reports Assad has made an offer to the U.S. to cut all involvement with Iran-backed militant groups such as Hezbollah. British Minister Alistair Cairns says that the regular British army could be wiped out completely in as little as 6 months if forced to fight a major war on the scale of the Ukraine conflict. True. Assad is nowhere. Official line of the Syrian president's office is that Assad hasn't fled the capital, but a source knowledge says that he isn't anywhere of the regular locations. His presidential guard are no longer deployed, and they basically set it up so the presidential palace could get taken. Hey, look at that. Presidential palace was stormed. After almost 61 years of Ba'athist rule, 54 years of Assad family dynasty rule, Syrian Arab Republic has fallen. Damascus International Airport in rebel hands. It was utter chaos. Again, get out if you can. Clashes around the Shiite shrine of Sayyida Zainab in Damascus. I'm sure that'll get blown up by ISIS. Syrian rebels will announce the capitulation of the Assad regime from the Syrian radio and television building in Damascus shortly. And what I'm hearing right now is the U.S. and coalition countries are planning extensive targeted military strikes against leftover Assad sophisticated weapons because the people that are going to get a hold of them are going to do a whole shitload of evil with it. Operation could already be underway. U.S. jets over western Iraq, mostly headed to Syria. Russian jets airborne over Syria. There's always a lovely possibility between Russian and American jets getting into a little bit of an entanglement over the collapsing country of Syria. New picture of Russia's Khmeimim Air Base. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's their Syrian asset that's going to have a wonderful future for it. You can see 3 IL-76, 1 AN-124, presence of 4 transport aircraft, indicating that either more weapons were brought on or that they are evacuating their assets and people. I'm going to say that they are evacuating. Middle East Spectator says the evidence points towards a pre-planned and controlled handover of the Syrian state in these entire 10 days. I have not seen a single battle. I don't know by whom, but this was 100% orchestrated. I got to tell you, the guy knows his stuff. I don't know what's going on. I can't say definitively anything, but what he says is the truth. It is fully possible. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, sent a private message to the Islamic Republic of Iran. They pinky swore not to protect the Shiite religious sites and religious minorities, including Shiites and Christians within Syria. According to the New York Times, I'm sure ISIS will definitely do that. No more commands are being handed down by the Syrian Arab Army and the leadership. Generals are now basically making their own decisions. Get ready for Syrian Civil War Round 2. Wonderful. Assad has left Damascus in an Ilyushin 76T cargo plane. This is where the crash supposedly happens. Headed towards an unknown destination, possibly Russia. It's according to Reuters. Plane allegedly carrying Assad is rapidly declining. Oh, wonderful. Assad's plane has disappeared from radar. And the airplane just dropped from 12,000 feet to 3,500 in just a few minutes outside of Lebanese airspace north of Akkad. Syrian General Staff of the Armed Forces has ordered all military to surrender. Flight path of the Syrian IL-76T before disappearing from civil tracking platforms shows a route over Syrian airspace, particularly in conflict zones, before the signal was lost. The exact moment it disappeared and the aircraft's possible location have not yet been confirmed. And that plane allegedly carrying Assad has reportedly crashed near Al-Suwadia. Syrian Arab Republic, functioning in its current form since 1963, no longer exists. Future of the country is not known. $10 million bounty has been declared on the new former president of the Syrian Arab, for now, on the former president of the Syrian Arab Republic, Bashar al-Assad. Rebels officially claim control of Damascus. 3D flight radar 24 data, the jet widely suspected of carrying a fleeing Bashar al-Assad indicated that it crashed. Data is correct. Local source in Syria informs, yes, doom. Local source in Syria informs us that a rocket was launched at around 5:30 a.m. local time near the military installations of the 4th Division base, which is known to house or anti-aircraft AA missiles. If true, this means that the plane was shot down, assuming the rocket and the noises belonging to it are of an anti-aircraft nature. By the way, while I have 209 of you here, and most of you hit the like button, tomorrow night on PrepperNow, my main channel, youtube.com/@PrepperNow, all one, I'm going to be having a little round table with Modern Refugee, 33,000 subs, Prepper Dog, just under 25,000 subs, Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, who's had 7,000 subs since the beginning of time, and Roaming Prepper, who's got like 4,000 or 5,000 subs since the beginning of time. We're going to have a little bit of a round table, and I got a feeling we're going to be chit-chatting about all this. Mainly prepping and stuff, but also geopolitics and other things. So if you want to join us over there, it is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night, a round table, what I'm calling the 5 Wise Men of Prepping, because these are some of my favorite channels, and I think they deserve more clout. Please come on over and join us there. Local source in Syria informs the rocket was launched at 5:30 a.m. We think it was an anti-aircraft. General situation in Syria, December 7th, 2024. Syrian Arab Army capitulated the rebel alliance. Damascus has fallen. 61 years of Ba'athist rule over. HTS took over Hom's entire southern half of Syria is under FSA control. However, fighting continues between SNA and SDF, so the violence is not yet over. Let's see. We won't do it in Espanol. At this point, there are several theories about what might have happened, which we can mention. Plane was shot down by Russia using a ground-based air defense system or a fighter, either by mistake, less likely, or intentionally, even less likely. I agree with that. I don't think that happened. It was shot down using a ground-based air defense system by rebels, possibly a man-pad or the Panzer systems they had previously captured. There's a picture of a Panzer system in Damascus captured, or I think it was Homs. Aerial accident, highly likely, or premeditated suicide, less likely. Guy's got a wife and family. I don't know. He might not have. So, I'm actually going to come back to this one. This is what the wider war is going to look like. I want to come back to that. So it's a long post. So we're going to go with the first statement of the Syrian Transitional Government. After long years of injustice, tyranny, and oppression, after a great sacrifices made by the sons and daughters of the homeland, we announce today, this great Syrian people and the entire world, that the regime of Bashar al-Assad has fallen and has fled the country, leaving behind a legacy of destruction and suffering. Historic day, we announce the forces of the revolution and opposition taking control of affairs of the beloved Syria, and we affirm our commitment to building a free, just, and democratic state in which all citizens are equal without discrimination. Totally believe that. We pledge before God and before the people the following: preserving the unity and sovereignty of the Syrian territory, protecting all citizens and their property regardless of their affiliations, working to rebuild the state and institutions on foundations of freedom and justice, striving to achieve comprehensive national reconciliation and returning refugees and displaced persons to their homes in safety and with dignity. Holding accountable all those who have committed crimes against the Syrian people in accordance with the law and justice. We call on the Syrian people to unite and stand together as this historic stage affirm the new Syria will not be the monopoly of anyone, but rather a homeland for all. Long live a free and proud Syria. Peace, mercy, blessings to God be upon you. National Transitional Council, Damascus 8/12/24. Terrorist gangs are reportedly looting aid designated for the Lebanese and Syrian people from the warehouses of the Sayyida al-Zanab shrine. Wonderful. First videos from inside the house of the fallen Bashar al-Assad in the al-Maliki neighborhood in the heart of the capital of Damascus. It says, yes, Syria has fallen. The fate of Bashar al-Assad is unclear at this moment. Now we are shown the golden toilet. So supposedly Assad had this golden toilet, and this guy was live streaming from inside as a popular thing to do whenever you ransack and take over a fallen regime's presidential palace. All right, Syrian Prime Minister says, I'll be at the Council of Ministers this morning and I'm ready for the handover of procedures. Bro, if you're alive in the morning, I'll be surprised. Syrian Prime Minister says he is ready to cooperate with any new leadership chosen by the Syrian people. Heavy clashes reported between rebel forces and Kurdish forces in Deir ez-Zor, eastern Syria. And now, some analysis from the new Atlas. Here we go. This is going to give you your future, folks. The Eastern Perspective, as I entitled it. What is happening in Syria is a major loss for the Syrian people and their allies, including Russia and Iran, ultimately both China and the rest of the multipolar world. Hi, America. How are you? Oh, we're fine. We're not financing any rebels to ransack the Northwest and then take over Syria. It is the reminder that the U.S. and its proxies remain the greatest threat to human peace and prosperity on the planet today. These are their words. I'm just letting you hear them. A potent danger that should not be underestimated. Not only has the U.S. maintained a large army of terror all along Syria's borders, it has maintained significant control over global information, space poisoning, entire regions of the planet against their own best interests. Excuse me. While the U.S. industry and military power fades, it has maintained its ability to politically interfere and capture entire populations, not through any particular strength, but from fundamental lack of action from the rest of the world in recognizing information space as the key to national security in the 21st century. Absolutely correct. Even today, many of the world have surrendered its information space to the Silicon Valley and the U.S. State Department, no matter how many tanks you have. If the U.S. can convince your population not to man them or to point their guns in the opposite direction, you still lose. One battle amid a wider war. It is also important to remember this is just one battle amid a larger and more critical war between U.S. hegemony and multipolarism. No single battle is more important than the outcome of the war. If Russia has to pick between Ukraine and Syria, it clearly must pick Ukraine. I would agree. These events demonstrate that Russia and Iran are not all-powerful and that complacency is deadly. And despite the tragedy taking place in Syria now, winning the war provides the possibility of one day restoring Syria, extending Russia and Iran and China. Russia has been forced to make difficult decisions. It is not just fighting the U.S. and Ukraine, it is fighting the U.S. all along its periphery from Eastern Europe to Central Asia. United States strategy, as laid out in policy documents, literally titled Extending Russia, is to extend Russia by creating multiple crises Russia is forced to react to, eventually outstretching itself and collapsing. That's how they did it in the Soviet Union, and you might have heard of a little term, by a WEF person who's bald and ugly. His name is Klaus. It's called the Polycrisis. Russia must carefully choose where to commit and where to define its limits. Beyond even that, the goal is to isolate Iran, which now looks likely, then Russia, then China, defeating the champions of the multipolar world in detail. For those in Tehran, Moscow, and Beijing, across all other capitals outside the West who lie to themselves about the nature of this war to avoid the discomfort of facing it, Syria is your ultimate future. There is no place for you at the table. You cannot compromise. You cannot infinitely buy time. You either successfully defend your nation together with your allies, or you lose it. I will expand upon this further and other developments. The man is absolutely correct. So let me translate that for you, folks. Things are about to go sideways. Russia, China, Iran, they're not stupid. I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying I hope they win or anything. All of this sucks. I wish that people would just get along and live in a functional, multipolar world where they try to make money and make it so, goods are cheap for the people. There's prosperity, and war is at a very limited amount. But that is not going to happen. Syria is a big nut kick to the calm of the world. So from here, it's just going to get more chaotic. Okay? Now, if you've been over to PrepperNow, you probably haven't. I'm sure you know there's a freaking video over there, the way they promote my stuff here, because heaven forbid anybody give you the fucking truth. Prices are going up on your goods. Okay? 18, 19 months, the last time they have this FAO thing, which is an index. And basically seed oils are exploding in price, which means that all of your food is going to explode in price. Seed oils are in everything. Any kind of cracker, any cookie, all the crap that Americans and Western Europeans eat. It's got some form of a vegetable oil in it, probably. Well, all that's going up in price. Now, tack on to that an enlarging conflict in the world. Just a few days ago, China said, you know what, you can't have any more gallium or germanium. What is that? Well, those are very rare earths that go into radar systems for the military. Now, imagine that happening with corn or rice. That's where we're heading with all this. Everything is going to get more expensive. Yeah, you're not going to be on a battlefield in Syria somewhere, but all of this is going to translate to higher prices, more problems, less access, more companies going over or going under, so you don't have the access to all the brands you used to, and basically making it so larger corporate bastards have control of everything, and what you buy is crappy and expensive. So you need to start doing the things now to the now to the now. It's all going to get worse. It's all going to get more expensive. It's all going to get tougher to get. Pretty please with sugar on top, folks. Go get to prepping and doing the things. I can't tell you enough. I'm not here because I'm killing it and paying my mortgage with what I make off this channel. I'll be honest with you. I like talking to you. I think there's a wonderful space that YouTube provides. I wish they would just let things go freely and organically, but we all know they're going to put their big dick onto things and tap it out. But the point I'm making is that I am here to warn you, and have been for many years. Go look back at where things were in 2018 and where we are in 2024 going into 2025. It's as crappy as it gets, and it's only getting crappier. Your ability to manage all this is going to get tougher. So take the time now to do things for yourself. Take the time now to learn skills, learn how to make your own bread, your own cheese, your own whatever. Take the time now to learn to grow your own food. Take the time now to stock up and to get ready for what is going to be a pretty darn expensive future. Okay? Please. That's why I'm here. I'm here to let you know what's going on well in advance, because I want you guys to be able to protect your families. I've got a family right now. I've got 3 beautiful children, a wonderful wife. I've got a great life and all that. But I'm telling you right now, things are going in a nasty direction. So pretty please with sugar on top. Get to prepping and doing the things. Okay? Don't put it off. It's not going to get cheaper. Okay? All right. Good talk. Woo! 65 minutes. My God. Okay. Well, let's go see if Bashar Assad is roasting in an open plain fire in Homs, or if he's in Dubai. Who knows? Whatever. Who knows? The way we're going, in 10 days, Lebanon could be crumbling as well. Who knows? It's a wonderful world, folks. Please hit that like button, do the things. If you like what we're doing here, join Winning Streak and the others. And being a member, it is $2 a month. That is 8 quarters for me to tell you all kinds of stuff, literally hours, if not days, before everybody else. If you had 6 hours before something terrible would happen, that you could position yourself to manage it better, would you want that? I can tell you I would. I told my members today on the community page, 12 hours before Assad crumbled, that he was going to crumble. It's still up. I'm not making this up. I told people 1 month before Russia invaded Ukraine that there's going to be a war. Please, join me, okay? I'm not here to be hyperbolic. I'm here to inform you. That's all I want to do. That's why I became a teacher. I want you guys to know what's going on so you can do things to protect yourself. Hopefully that sincerity is coming out. All right, friends, hit the links in the description. God bless. And we'll see you on the next one.